Okay. I'm Mike Cassidy of Bloomreach, the storyteller. I used to be Mike Cassidy of the San Jose Mercury News, where I worked with Pat May, who's joining me.
Hey, Mike. This is Pat May. I'm a staff writer for the San Jose Mercury News in Silicon Valley. Good to see you.
Yeah, you're writing some great stuff. What's your beat? Are you doing general business stuff, or what are you doing?
General assignment in the business department. Yeah,
Good work.
a lot of fun.
And one story in particular, recent story caught my eye because it has to do with something I've been writing about, and that was a story that had to do with Starbucks and real estate. Can you fill us in on what the conclusion was?
Sure. Yeah, it was about, I think it was last week, and it was all over. The story got out. I think Zillow, actually, the online database for housing
Oh yeah.
price, all things housing, put it out there. Basically, two of their executives they've written a book about, uh, and I don't think it's just about Starbucks effect, but they've written a book, and part of the book involved the Starbucks effect, and they referred to a study they did that showed that if there's a Starbucks near a property in many parts of the United States, that those properties are going to be valued at quite a bit more than a house that's not near a Starbucks, and they call it the Starbucks effect. Although the Starbucks effect actually that term is being used a lot for different ways that Starbucks has impacted everything from real estate to coffee, the coffee prices in
Oh
America as well.
wow. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, I think it was something like I think it was almost 100% increase in value over whatever it was a number of years that they studied, compared to something like 65% if you weren't near a Starbucks or something like that.
that's close. Yeah, they looked at 1997 to 2014. Homes within a quarter mile of Starbucks jumped by 96%, versus on average versus 65% for all homes in the United States.
Yeah.
And the Bay Area, where I am and where you are,
Yep.
didn't show that dramatic of a jump. I mean, all the prices here are already, doesn't matter
Yeah,
if you're
really.
near a Starbucks or whatever, the prices are through the roof. But it did show a difference. In the Bay Area, it was a 13% increase, Starbucks versus not near a Starbucks.
So Bay Area housing prices, you could either throw gasoline on that fire or maybe Starbucks coffee.
There you go.
But so what did you think about that finding, or what did the people who you talked to? I mean, because that's one of those that it's like it's cute, but you sort of scratch your head a little bit.
I think it was kind of gimmicky, and I thought it was a brilliant, as I said in my lead, a brilliant bit of marketing by Zillow because Zillow's got all this great data, more and more of it. In fact, I think they just bought Truly, if I'm not mistaken, and they can do all kinds of interesting things with it. But their theory or their deduction, well, these price increases were due to the Starbucks didn't really sit well with some of the realtors I talked to who are really on the ground and seeing this day to day.
Yeah, yeah.
They
What
feel like, in fact, the one realtor I quoted, Steve Mosany, who's in the East Bay of the Bay Area, he said, Starbucks, in fact, I'll read the quote. Companies like Starbucks study where the growth trends are, and then they place their stores there to be ahead of the growth. So he said the growth is not there because there's a Starbucks. The Starbucks is there because they're anticipating the growth.
Okay.
So it's a little bit chicken or egg, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think if I were trying to sell my house, I think I'd rather have a Starbucks down the street than not have one.
Yeah. But
I think I would. But whether that's driving these price increases or not, hard to say.
so it's kind of which came first, the latte or the housing prices?
There you go.
Did you come up with a lot of cute puns? I mean, there's all sorts of, you could have frothy markets, you could have caffeinated housing prices. What do
I
you
didn't
got?
come up with all of those, but they're out there. Yeah. By the time I finished reporting the story, I think every pun was used, and I was just like, it was pun overdose, and I just couldn't. I mean, I couldn't bear to put one in my story.
No, you're a much better writer than that.
I'm a better man than that. The funny thing is they also compared home prices near Dunkin' Donuts, which was
Oh yeah.
fun, and they did not show as dramatic of a difference for houses near a Dunkin' Donuts versus a Starbucks, which is interesting too.
That is. Well, so I started researching our house, and .8 miles away from a Starbucks. Is that any help?
Point 0.8? That's like a half a mile. No.
It's more than half a
More
mile.
than a half. No.
But you know what? We're .8 from two different Starbucks, so I'm thinking maybe that'll do something.
How were you in math in high school?
Really bad, very
It
bad.
doesn't work. It doesn't
That's
work.
why I work for a data science company now, because my math skills.
You know, the interesting thing is somebody pointed out, in fact, it was the realtor, he said, you know, you ought to look into the fact that Zillow and Starbucks headquarters are located, and I think I found it, they're located within a quarter mile maybe of each other, 2 miles in Seattle. And I thought, that's kind of interesting.
That is interesting. I might have to sip a latte and think about that.
Doesn't it seem like there's a Starbucks, though, on every street corner of America?
Well, I was going to ask you that. I mean, how did they find these houses that are farther than a quarter mile from a Starbucks?
They must be out in the plains of Iowa, is what I'm thinking.
Very good. You want ethanol or Starbucks? Well, that's great. I appreciate it. I mean, I guess it's just an indication that it can be pretty tricky to measure things and figure out causation versus correlation. And this Starbucks debate may rage on forever, huh?
Absolutely. And I just want to point out there's another example of Starbucks effect, and this was in the Harvard Business Review. And it basically says the success of Starbucks cafes has been good for coffee distributors around the United States because Starbucks raised the prices of coffee and offered this premium pricing. Yeah. And basically that lifts everybody else. So the price of coffee, listen to the price of coffee, let's see, over the past decade, these two Harvard Business School guys have tracked it. And they basically, I don't see today 40% of coffee is sold at premium prices versus like 3% 10 years ago, which I think is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I bet those guys are coffee drinkers, and they're trying to figure out what the.
Me on what I've gone to recently, I don't go to Starbucks because I can't bear paying that much for a cup of coffee. Yeah. I would buy these little canisters and. You put it like an espresso or a curry,
right.
and it brews it, and it's about 40 cents a cup of coffee, and it's good coffee. So
sweeping the nation.
Sweeping the nation.
So we get from you some data science and some household tips. I mean, what more could you ask for?
No, I hope you're not going to ask for anything more.
No, that's it. I'm done asking.
Good.
Although I had one, I wanted you to say hello to my friends there at the Mercury News.
I will.
And keep up.
Say hello to my friends at Bloomreach.
Do you have any? You should come over.
I will.
Okay.
Why don't we swap jobs one day and see if anybody notices?
That would be great.
I'll do it.
Then we could write about it.
Yeah. I'll do it.
All right.
Good.
Well, good. So far, so good. I'm gonna sign off.
All right. Have a good weekend.
You have a good weekend too. I appreciate your time.
All right. See ya.
Thanks a lot, Pat.
Bye.
Bye-bye.